I didn't know anything about this, but a student said, "You're like the Hannah Montana of rap." And yeah, so I had to have the student explain that to me.
I'm pretty sure you understand too.
What it is to be a stranger in this unfriendly land.
Yeah.
Here's my
Good looking out, true.
It's a very rich community in music. I am more on the, I would say, like the jam band. I worked for the rock station for a little bit, so I didn't get to experience as much as I would like to before our conversation. But I still respect it in the fact that you're essentially pouring your heart out onto paper, and you want to express yourself to people, whether it's expressing yourself about how frustrated you are, or whether it's to express yourself about personal relationships and things like that. But either way, it takes so much courage for people to. It's weird. I got to have a meeting. I guess the best way to explain it is I got to hang out with Io, and he started High Soul Music, and he was the first guest for the season 2, and it was we met at Bourbon Street, met his whole crew, had an amazing time, and I just got lost in this world and in these just how passionate they were, and it just I guess it's frustrating to me to see someone put their entire heart into something and have 5 people listen, and have to be so creative and to be so good. I hate to say it, but everyone in their group is, and whether it's whatever form it is, whether if it's freestyle, whether if it's laying tracks down or mixing them, or even the videography sense, they're all from this hip hop community, and I love being a part of it. And it's why I really want to talk to you, because I'm sure that you foresaw a lot of things, and I'm sure that you were in these shoes where I want to do so much. And how did you get the resilience? Where did that come from? Where you're like, I don't care, I'm gonna make this happen, because you didn't get where you are right now by just being complacent.
Yeah, I think that, well, partially it's just being stubborn, and I mean, I recall one time having a really good friend having an argument with this friend that seemed like an innocent argument, where the person said something about his belief in good artists, whatever good artists were. And I felt that the person, in one way, because we were around one another, sort of it was implied that he believed in my art.
Okay.
But because we were having this conversation about belief in art, and this conversation was external to what we were doing, for some reason I stopped him and I said, well, what about what we're doing? And essentially just said, if you don't believe in doing this, then there's no point in us doing this together, because nobody's going to believe in what I'm doing more than I do. But I don't want anybody around who doesn't believe in it at all. And I think that has been sort of my motivation the entire time, is to try to get good at this thing. And getting good at it means to study it in all of the ways that you might be able to study something like this, and then to share that information with people, to share that information and that passion means to, I think, to become an expert. And that also means sometimes to sit with it on your own, to really sit and write and listen and fail over and over and over, and take the risk, be vulnerable. And I think that's the lesson for me, is that vulnerability is a productive place. I think that it hurts. It can be lonely, especially if you're the only person who believes. But for me, that's really what it's been. It's really been kind of sticking to what I feel and what I know, and then also understanding that some of it isn't really about being good, or whatever it is that we call good when we say things like that. Some of it is really about sticking to it, and then thinking about ways that you might be able to enter into certain conversations that are happening on the scene, wherever that scene might be, or how you may be able to support other people, and how those relationships that you have with those people might work out, how you might be able to see yourself getting onto a stage to demonstrate that you do offer something different. I remember nights teaching in Springfield, when I was teaching in Springfield, but then going down to say like Torch Tuesday and knowing that, this is the spot where folks are doing what they're doing, where folks are like, where hip hop is happening here in town, and the show is not going to start until 1 a.m. But I've got to be over at this school building at 6 a.m.
I talked to the MCs for like I think it was my 5th or 6th episode, and I understand where you're coming from as far as scheduling 100%, and that's why I'm interjecting, because I was working an office job, 8 to 5. I was doing independent marketing to pay for to lay the groundwork for my wedding. And I also needed to get this interview. I had to meet the MCs at 11:30, and I was like, I gotta be home. I got stuff to do. And I was like, where is everyone? I mean, this is a huge event. Like, how come there's nobody here? And he's like, you don't understand. You have no idea. So I have no idea how you're gonna go in there and you're gonna debut your craft, and then you're gonna show up to work in 6 hours.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, because I remember so vividly, talking to whoever was running the list, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to go on with no audience at all, but we've got to maximize this moment. But I'm also not going to be here at 2 a.m. to perform, because I've got to be home, I've got to be asleep, I've got to teach, and just kind of understanding that I had to really negotiate that myself. Nobody there was going to work that out for me, and nobody there was going to say, well, let's call all of the people who might come to a show like this and let them know that this guy named AD is going to be on, but he's got to go on at 11 because he's got to go to sleep so he can go teach the next day. So ultimately we find a space in the middle where maybe I'm performing at midnight. I'm the first person before people start doing their thing. I do my set and then I'm gone. And I just thought that for me, that was really I guess it was instructional, because I have to like carve out a space for myself to be who I am in the ways that I am without compromising. I don't want my teaching to suffer because I'm emceeing at night. Right. And I don't want my emceeing to suffer because I'm a teacher. Right. And so, you find this space where you do exactly what it is that you do, and you're comfortable with it. And so I would go down there fairly regularly. Even I remember one of the shows, where they were doing the award night. And again, I think I had to go early, and it's like, okay, well, I don't know when the awards are being announced or whatever might happen with that. But I'm probably going to be at home asleep. And I think I woke up and read in the Illinois Times that I won the Lyricist of the Year award. Sure. But I don't believe I was in the building to get the award, because they gave out the award so late or early, however you look at it. But that was the scene. And so the people who know me knew that I had to teach, and because this was a thing that happened on Tuesday nights, I wasn't going to be able to be around. And so if I did do a set, it was going to be, like somewhat early in the night, and then everything else that happened follows. And I think that it's the same thing in the academic world, where, you go to an academic conference and people are going to be presenting papers. And I'm kind of like, it's real cool that everybody's presenting these papers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap my presentation. And that's what I do. And whatever the questions may be will be questions that I'll gladly field. But hopefully they are about my content and not about the way that I choose to deliver it, in the same way that I hope nobody believes that like I'm not a real MC because I don't stay up until 4 a.m.
I think at this point you don't have to. If your work, using the word "you" generally, the work speaks for itself. It really does. I was going to ask you about, because I have an issue with being all in. Like, I'm super excited about this passion, this goal, this project. what was the separation like in a sense of, you know what, I guess I may attribute it to, I feel like I can play in a sandbox for 4 hours and then I shift. I play in another sandbox, and I think that's the best demonstration. But how did you handle all that in the sense of, yeah, and I don't want to call it a different personality, and it's a difficult question, so forgive me, but how do you differentiate, okay, I'm teaching between X hours and then X hours I'm devoted to this passion, but these worlds will never cross? Because I have a problem where it all spills over. I'm just really excited about this thing and I want to share it with everybody.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think that there was a clear separation for some people. I remember a student, and I didn't know anything about this, but a student said, "You're like the Hannah Montana of rap." And yeah, so I had to have the student explain that to me, because
Right.
I didn't get.
Okay, now all right, it took a second to click, but yeah.
I didn't get the reference,
Okay.
but I'm like, okay, so like, but apparently, like, there are these two personalities,
Yes.
one that exists, in this one space and lives
Yeah.
like a quote unquote regular life, and then
Yeah.
this other way the person is a performer, and people know the performer as a performer.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm not a performer when I'm standing in the classroom.
Right.
That's not what's going on when I'm in the classroom. That's not my quote unquote normal life,
Right.
necessarily. In the classroom, I'm performing, and on the stage, I'm teaching. There's crossover the entire time. I think context is really important in both of those
Wow.
spaces. And the context changes, which means that the audience is going to take something different away.
Good looking out, true. Looking out, true. Looking out. I finally made my move. I figured I'd give you an update.